right, here we go with the hashing crypto that rhymes. Nice. This is part of the cryptography module with TryHackMe. If you don't have access to TryHackMe, you can sign up through the link in the description. You'll get a discount on your membership, and it's easier to kind of follow along with the whole thing instead of just watching the video, although you can learn a lot just by watching the video too. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, and let's just dive into it. So hashing crypto, let's see if I can zoom in here. Nice. Okay, so before we start, we need to get some jargon out of the way. Plain text is data before encryption or hashing, often text but not always, as it could be a photograph or other file instead. Encoding is not a form of encryption, just a form of data representation like base 64 or hexadecimal, immediately reversible, so you can decode encoded stuff. A hash is the output of a hash function. It can also be used as a verb to hash something, meaning to produce the hash value of something. And brute force is attacking cryptography by trying every different password or every different hash key. And this is a new one for me, cryptanalysis. Attacking cryptography by finding a weakness in the underlying maths. So this room will involve some research, get good at using search engines. It's crucial to InfoSec, really. Okay, so read the words and understand the meanings. And base 64, is base 64 encryption or encoding? It is encoding. Nice. First try. Okay, key terms, got it. Next one. What is a hash function? Oh, these are a little bit longer, so I wonder if I could do this thing. What was it? Was it like this that I could zoom in? How could I zoom in? There was some kind of button that I could use. Okay, whatever. So hash functions are quite different from encryption. There's no key, and it means to be impossible or very difficult to go from the output back to the input. A hash function takes some input data of any size, creates a summary or digest of the data. The output is a fixed size. It's hard to predict what the output will be for any input or vice versa, and good algorithms will be relatively fast to compute and slow to reverse. So to go from the output and determine what the input was, or basically reverse the hash of a password, for example. Any small change in the input data, even a single bit, should cause a large change in the output, right? So anything done to an image, anything done to a folder, anything done to a password, use a capital letter instead of a small letter, that changes the hash output drastically. It's a completely different hash output. The output of a hash is normally just raw bytes, which are then encoded, and common encodings for this are base 64 or hexadecimal, as we already discussed. Decoding these won't give you anything useful. So if you put the base 64 hash of something into a decoder, if you don't have a dictionary, for example, if you're doing passwords, right? If you don't have a dictionary of all the possible passwords and hashes that go along with those passwords, it's not going to do you any good to just have the hash for it. So it's a nice little security feature. So why should you care? It's often used in cybersecurity. When you log into TryHackMe, that used hashing to verify your password. When you log into your computer, that also used hashing to verify your password. You interact indirectly with hashing more than you think. So what is a hash collision? It's when two different inputs give the same output. Hash functions are designed. So this is interesting right here. This is kind of an interesting little thing. So hash functions are designed to avoid this as best as they can, especially being able to create intentionally a collision. Due to the pigeonhole effect, collisions are not avoidable. The pigeonhole effect is basically that there are a set of different output values for the hash function, but you can give it any size input, as there are more inputs than outputs. Some of the inputs must give the same output. If you have 128 pigeons and 96 pigeonholes, some of the pigeons are going to have to share the same pigeonhole. So MD5 and SHA-1 have been attacked and may technically insecure due to engineering hash collisions. However, no attack has yet given a collision in both algorithms at the same time. So if you use MD5 and SHA1 to compare, you will see they're different. The MD5 collision example is available for this link, and details of SHA1 are available on that link. Due to these, you shouldn't trust either algorithm for hashing passwords or data. So, I mean, this is kind of, I've heard this a lot, but MD5 and SHA1 are not the most secure forms. SHA256 and above are supposed to be, the most secure forms of hashing, especially for passwords. So let us see how that goes. So what is the output size in bytes of the MD5 hash function? So the output size, let's try 96 because it's already here. Is that true? Is that right? Is it telling me? Oh, I need to zoom out so I can see whether or not I have it right. Okay, so we got to Google these things. So let's see. Let's do a quick Google. And it has 126 bits or 16 bytes. Is that what it asked us? Is how many bytes? Okay, I got it. So if the output is 128, so each byte is 8 bits. That's kind of the formula here. So 128 bits is 16 bytes. There's the answer. Can you avoid hash collision? That would be no, you cannot avoid it. If you have an 8-bit hash output, how many possible hashes out there? 8-bit hash output. Okay, so as we did a little bit of Googling, the number of possibilities would be 2 to the power of x, where x is the number of bits. So if we have 2 to the power of 8, so power of calculator. So if we do exponents calculator, so 2 to the power of 8. Calculate is going to give us 256. So that's how you calculate it. So whatever the bits are, it would be 2 to the power of the number of bits. So let's try 256. All right, we got it. 2 to the power of 8. That's our formula. And we are done with this portion. Okay, so uses for hashing. What can we do with hashing? Hashing is used for two main purposes: to verify integrity of data or verifying passwords. And this is discussed a lot in forensics when you get the hash of a disk image. For example, if you found a computer in an evidence site, right? Like a data, man, I'm drawing a blank here, but when there's a crime scene, there you go. In a crime scene, you find a computer and you want to make sure that the computer isn't tampered with as it goes along the evidence chain, the chain of evidence, or chain of custody is what they call it technically. Then you got to get the original hash value of that disk image. And so if there's anything that's changed along the way, the hash value would change, and then the authorities would know that somebody messed with the hash value, or somebody messed with the disk image, excuse me. Okay, so most web apps need to verify users' password at some point. Storing these passwords in plain text would be bad. You've probably seen news stories about companies that have had their databases leaked. Knowing some people, they use the same password for everything, and that used to be me for a very long time. And I used to have like super simple passwords too. That was crazy. Now that I study this stuff, I'm like, man, I can't believe nobody like stole all my money. No, I'm not trying to give anybody any ideas here, but my passwords have gotten severely more complicated over time. So they use the same password for everything, including their banking. So leaking these would be really bad. Quite a few data breaches have leaked plain text passwords. You're probably familiar with rocku.txt. We used this in one of our last exercises already. It has 20 million passwords in this little text file, and it's available for download. You can go get it, and inside this text file, you can just check to see if your password is inside this text file. And if it is, then you need to go change your password right away, because with a very simple tool like Hydra or John the Ripper, we can hack into anything that you have using this password list. So it's very important. This came from a company that made widgets for MySpace. They stored their passwords in plain text, and the company had a data breach. Oh, excuse me. So 14 million passwords, not 20 million. Although some are unlikely to have been user passwords. Sort by length if you want to see what I mean, because there's some really like short, letters or matches on there. So Adobe had a notable breach that was slightly different. The passwords were encrypted rather than the hash, and the encryption that was used was not secure. This meant that the plain text could be relatively quickly retrieved, and you can read about that later. LinkedIn had one. They used SHA-1, which is insecure now, but it was secure at some point. You can't encrypt the passwords as the key has to be stored somewhere. This is where hashing comes in. What if instead of storing passwords, you just store the hash of the password? This means you never have to store the user's password, and if your database was leaked, then the attacker would have to crack each password to find out what the password was. That sounds fairly useful, and we've done that a few times already. So there's just one problem with this. What if two users have the same password and a hash function? As a hash function will always turn the same input into the same output, you will store the same password hash for each user. That means if someone cracks that hash, they get into more than one account. And it also means that someone can create a rainbow table to break the hashes, which I'm guessing this thing is right here. So this is what a rainbow table looks like. This is the hash. That's the password of the hash. Hash, password, so on and so forth. So pretty simple to understand. Websites like CrackStation, I've used this a lot. Internally use a huge rainbow table to provide and let me just show you, just so you can see, because previously I mentioned that you would need the CrackStation. Previously I mentioned that you would need everything, so you would need the hash as well as like a document that stores all the hashes to be able to see what the hash means. You can't get something just from the hash, but CrackStation's already done that for you. So they have this huge database of all these hashes. Look at this. They have all of these different hashes, 256, 224. So they have all of this stuff, right? So if you can get the hash of something, and it has, and at least if it's a password, so let's just say nothing else, it doesn't work with anything else, but if you find somebody's hash for their password and it's any of these algorithms, you just come to CrackStation, you run this thing, and look at that, ABC123. It's an MD5 type hash, and let's see, ABC123. So it's pretty crazy. So it's good to know. So okay, so let's go. Check the hash of this using the rainbow table manually. I don't know if I want to do that, but let's see. 607A, is it on here? It's on here. So basketball. We don't need to go to CrackStation. Crack this using online tools. So this one we will go to CrackStation for. And what is it? Oh, not found, really? What? Crack the hash using online tools, huh? Should you encrypt passwords? Yeah, you probably should. What? Is the answer no? How is that? How is that possible? You shouldn't encrypt passwords? That seems like a silly thing. Okay, fine. Okay, so crack the hash using online tools. Let's see. Okay, this had some interest. I mean, I tried a few different places. I tried this place. I tried a bunch of different hash crackers, and with the exception of actually using John the Ripper or Hydra, this ended up being the password that was attached to this hash. So that's that's the answer for that. It's interesting because maybe I feel like some of these labs are a little bit outdated or something. So either way, we got it, and it's useful to know that there are places online that you can go to crack some hashes. But if you really want to get good at this, and if you want to become a pro, then you gotta learn how to use Hydra or John the Ripper and different tools, hashcats, things like that. Okay, so automated hash recognition tools such as This thing exists, but they are unreliable for many formats. For hashes that have a prefix, the tools are reliable. Use a healthy combination of context and tools. If you found that the hash in a web application database is more likely to be MD5 than NTLM, NTLM is more for Microsoft Windows. Automated hash recognition tools often get these hash types mixed up, which highlights the importance of learning for yourself. Unix-style tools, Unix-style password hashes are very easy to recognize as they have a prefix. The prefix tells you the hashing algorithm used to generate the hash. The standard format is $ format, $rounds, $ salt, $ hash. Windows passwords are hashed using NTLM, as we already mentioned, which is a variant of MD4. They're visually identical to a MD4 and MD5, so it's very important to use context to work out the hash. On Linux, passwords are stored inside this file, which is a nifty little file. This file is normally only readable by a root user. They used to be stored in the etc password, which is no longer the case, and it's very misleading because it looks like the passwords are in there, and they're readable by everyone, but you can get information out of this file to get the information to log into this file. So yeah, all that stuff is fun little labs to go through later on. On Windows, password hashes are stored in the SAM. Windows tries to prevent normal users from dumping them, but tools like Mimikatz exist just for that, to be able to do a hash dump. Importantly, the hashes found there are split into NT hashes and LM hashes, so they're split up. Here's a quick table of a Unix-style password prefixes that you'll see. So $1 is this type of algorithm. $2, $2A, $2B, etc. is a bcrypt, popular for web apps, and $6 is SHA 512, which is pretty gnarly. A great place to find more hash formats and password prefixes is the Hashcat example page available here. And for hash types, you'll normally need to go by length encoding or some research into the application that generated them. Never underestimate the power of research. Okay, how many rounds does SHA 512 use by default? We can always Google that, but let's see what the hint tells us. Hint says do some research. Okay, so I mean, let's see. I can just do this, right? If I want to be a quick little thing. So the default number of rounds is 5,000. There's a minimum number of 1,000 and a maximum of 999,999,999. Any selection of n outside of this range will be truncated to the nearest limit. And SHA 512 hash with a 16-character salt prefixed with this thing. So just like that. All we needed to do was do the Googling. That's simple. And so let's try 5,000. Look at that. Okay, what is the Hashcat example hash from the website for Citrix Netscaler? So let's go get the example hash from this website. Okay, so here's our list. We do find and type in Citrix Netscaler. Is there more than one? There is two. So SHA 512, which is super long. I don't think that's the answer that we're looking for. So this is the short one. Let's see if this is the short one. Yeah, they wanted the shorter one. They didn't mention this one, but I think it's the shorter one. Yep, okay. So how long is a Windows NTLM hash in characters? So is this here? Was it here? I thought it was here. I don't know. So let's Google it. It's gonna say I'll Google it. Watch. Find example. How long is an Windows NTLM hash in characters? I want to say it's 64, but let's see. 32. Okay. Okay, there we go. Password cracking. Time to get cracking. Here we go. So, we've already mentioned rainbow tables. You can't decrypt password hashes. They're not encrypted. Okay. They're encoded. There you go. That's what it is. Okay. That's why I got confused earlier. You have to crack the hashes by hashing a large number of different inputs, often rock you These are the possible passwords, potentially adding the salt if there is one, and comparing it to the target hash. Once it matches, you know what, before I get carried away, I'm going to just start the attack box just in case we need the attack box. And we're going to minimize this as we read through this. Where was I? Okay, once it matches, you know the password was. Tools like Hashcat and John the Ripper are normally used for this. So why crack on GPUs? Graphic cards have thousands of cores, although they can't do the same work, the same sort of work that a CPU can. They're very good at some of the maths involved in hash functions. This means you can use a graphic card to crack most hash types quickly. Some algorithms, notably bcrypt or bcrypt, are designed so that hashing on a GPU is about the same speed as hashing on a CPU. Cracking on VMs. It's worth mentioning that virtual machines normally don't have access to the host graphic cards. You can set this up, but it's a lot of work. If you want to run Hashcat, it's best to run it on your own host. Run it from PowerShell if you have Windows. You can get Hashcat working on OpenCL in a VM, but the speeds are likely much worse than cracking on your own host. John the Ripper uses CPU by default, such as work in a VM out of the box. You may get better speeds, etc., etc. Never, I repeat, never use brute force for Hashcat. It can lead to false positives, wrong passwords being given to you, and false negatives, which it skips over the correct hash. As of Kali 22 or 2020.2, Hashcat 6.0 will run on the CPU without force. I still recommend cracking on your host OS if you have a GPU. It will be much, much faster. So time to get cracking. I'll provide the hashes, crack them. You can choose how. You'll need to use online tools, Hashcat, and or John the Ripper. Remember the restrictions on online rainbow tables. Don't be afraid to use the hints. RockQ or online tools should be enough to find all of these. Okay. So this is, we're going to start everything with CrackStation and see how it goes. CrackStation, and let's see if this exists on CrackStation. It does not. Okay. So there was a $sign in it, right? It said $sign. There's a bunch of $signs in it, and this was, what was it? It was in here somewhere. There was some kind of a recognizing thingy. So this is a bcrypt. Okay, while we're waiting for John the Ripper to load, or at least the attack box, so that we can use John the Ripper for this one, because it's a bcrypt from what the Hashcat website, I think, shows. This is a bcrypt. So this one, I was able to crack on CrackStation, and we got it right here. It is Halloween, so let's try it. Halloween. That worked. Great. What about this one? This is a long one. Let me see if I shrink this, if I could see the whole thing. This is one long password. I think this is also a bcrypt password or hash. This one is a much shorter one. What is this? Try online RockQ isn't always enough. Okay, fine. Let's do here. Let's try it again on here. Maybe this will tell us. Seems to be, oh, fun for you. Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay, so we got we got most of our stuff, with the exception of these two, which we need our machine for. And while that goes, okay, so we have a couple more questions in the last one. All right, let's see here. Let's see if we can do this real quick. John H. So help for John. Let's see. Is there a format? Input encoding rules. Mask format. None of this. Format name. For each type of name, the supported formats can be seen with the list formats and list subformats. So John list formats. Bcrypt. Very good. Okay, very good. So since that's there, what is it? So format name. So -- format name. So it's going to be John. Let's see. John the Ripper crack hash command. Let's see. Using a. Okay, so this is our example command to use dictionary mode with John the Ripper. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is we're going to copy the hash. Come on. Copy the hash. And we're going to go into a new little folder and we're going to use nano hash.txt. And we're going to paste the hash. And we're going to save it. And so it will be, I gotta find the password list. So it's user, right? And then share, and then word lists, and then RockU. Okay, so RockU is right there. Okay, so if we do John, and what was the command? John word list, format, and the hash file. So John, I just forgot it immediately. Word list equals /user/share word lists rocku.txt format equals bcrypt, and that's it, right? And then just the hash file. So hash.txt. Let's see if that works. No such file or directory. What do you mean, bro? I just made it. Oh, because I'm in the wrong folder. Now we're here. Okay, so boom. Let's try it now. Okay, we have a potential answer. So let's see if this actually works. That worked. Great. And okay, so let's try the second one. Let's see if we can do the same thing with John. And I think this is also a bcrypt password. I am curious if it is. Okay, it is the full thing. Gosh, it's so long. Okay. That's what she said. All right. Now let's just run the command one more time. But since we have a new... No password hash is loaded. What do you mean, bro? What do you mean, bro? Okay, so maybe we're not using the type that we should be, because this looks very different. So, oh, $6.6. Which one was the thing that started with $6.6? SHA 512 crypt. Okay, that's what it is. All right, so it's a SHA 512 hash. So I'm gonna do this one more time, but I'm gonna change this to SHA 512. Let's see. Unknown ciphertext format name requested. What? Really? Okay, so maybe I'm using the wrong format type. So let's see. What was it again? There's a bunch of different things here. Yada yada yada. Yada yada yada. SHA 256 crypt. Oh, maybe it's SHA 512 crypt is what I gotta use. Okay. So we'll do this one more time and come back here and do crypt at the end of it. Okay. All right, we have an answer. Let's see if this is our answer. Spaceman. Seems like it would be the answer. Hey, all right. And the last set of questions here. So integrity checking. Hashing can be used to check that files have not been changed. If you put the same data in, you should always get the same data out. Even if a single bit changes, the hash will change a lot. This means that you can check it to see that files haven't been modified. We talked about this earlier. HMAC is a method of using a cryptographic hashing function to verify the authenticity and integrity of data. The TryHackMe VPN uses HMAC SHA-512 for message authentication, which you can see in the terminal output. And HMAC can be used to ensure that the person who created the HMAC is who they say they are, authenticity, and that the message hasn't been modified or corrupted, which would be the integrity. And this is part of the CPA, CPA, the CIA triad. So confidentiality, integrity, authenticity. No, that would be authorization, I think. So never mind, I'm using the wrong. Is it authenticity? No, that's the wrong thing. Never mind. I'm mixing up my acronyms here. They use a secret key and a hashing algorithm in order to produce a hash. Okay, so what's the SHA sum for the AMD Kali 2019 ISO? Oh, so this is actually when I was trying to install Kali, there was a bunch of different things that had. So oldkali.org, which one do we need? AMD 64 Kali 2019.4. AMD 64 Kali 2019.4. It's this thing, right? You guys, I feel so silly right now. It literally says it right here. SHA1 sums. I feel so silly right now. Goodness gracious. Okay, and so why can't I pull this onto the screen? Here we go. So can we zoom in a little bit here? There you go. It has it right here. That's the sum. I was trying to do something so complicated and going through hell and back to try to find this stupid hash, and I almost downloaded the darn thing, and there it is. Unbelievable. Okay, what's the hashcat mode number for HMAC SH512? Key equals pass. And let's see what the hint is. Hashcat example hashes. Go to hashcat example hashes. And what do we need? HMAC SHA512. So let's just look this up. Key equals pass. What is the what? This number, I think, right? 1750. My goodness, I cannot believe that I spent so much time on that second to last question right here. But yeah, that was it. So this was the intro to cracking hashes, and we learned how to do it with online tools. We learned how to do it with John the Ripper. We learned how to do it with CrackStation, and we learned how to look up hashes on the Hashcat website, and how to look up the sum for Kali Linux and all this different kind of stuff. So hopefully you found this useful. We're going to go into the other two modules in the next couple of videos because this was a little bit of a longer video. But you are going to see more advanced tactics and techniques for cracking hashes and cryptography and all that stuff. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, make sure that you turn on the bell button, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions or if you took anything away from it. And of course, be ethical as you do all this stuff and don't do anything illegal because this is a felony and you'll get caught and all that stuff. So don't make the mistakes that a lot of people make and get caught doing some really, really bad things. All this stuff should be done with people's authorization if you're doing pen testing or anything like that. So yeah, that was a cool little lab for cracking hashes. This was the intro. And I will see you in the next one.